The following program is produced by students of the Brian Lamb School of Communication at Purdue University.
On this edition of Fast Track, we sit down with Bruce Barker from the Neon Cactus to take a look inside the life of the Piano Man.
And we relive the moments from last week's homecoming parade. Fast Track starts now.
Welcome to this week's edition of Fast Track. We are coming to you from the Beering Hall lobby. I'm Tommy Barrett.
And I'm Sarah Cohen. On Thursday night, it's a common sight on campus. Students walking down to the levee with the cups for a fun night at the Cactus.
And one of those longtime employees is the favorite amongst students. Fast Track producer Trevor Peters made his way to the Cactus last Thursday for a special sit-down with the Piano Man, Bruce Barker.
It's a scene most Purdue students know. Thursdays at the Neon Cactus have almost turned into a weekly holiday for some. But for most students, their Cactus experience revolves around one guy, the guy behind the piano.
Can you Photoshop me skinnier?
Bruce Barker is celebrating 21 years as Purdue's Piano Man at the Cactus. His weekly show attracts hundreds of college students each Thursday, and his musical talent is very apparent, but it's a talent that started from a very young age.
I've always been able to sing. I could always sing. You know, my parents couldn't afford video cameras, but we had a little cassette player. And there's a tape floating around somewhere on cassette of me doing an Elvis concert to my two biggest fans, my mom and dad. And then really, you know, you discover pretty early that what you do best. And I think God's biggest gift to me was the ability to sing.
Bruce has called Lafayette home all of his life. After graduating high school, he enrolled at Purdue, joined the Purdue Varsity Glee Club, and taught himself how to play the piano. And from there, his talent started to turn some heads.
All through college, my spending money came from winning karaoke contests. The guy who owned the karaoke bar, he was opening up a new bar, and he said, "Hey, you're in that Glee Club, right? Over at Purdue?" I said, "Yes, sir." "You know any piano players? Because I'm opening up this bar, and I got a really nice piano, and all I need is background music for people to eat too." So I'm like, "Well, sir, I play piano." He said, "No way." So right out of college, May of 1994, I started at Captain's Cove, fine dining and comedy. Now, at the same time, the Cactus was a couple years old, and they built this room for a piano bar. The manager happened to go to my high school, and he came over and caught a show, and he said, "Hey, you need to talk to my bosses because they built a room just for what you're doing, and it would be your room." And that was November of 1995. And this November will be 21 years that I have been at this bar. I kept count for about a month, a long time ago, and I do about 60 to 75 songs a night. And a typical night is you get here before the doors open, make sure all the sound works, and then right before 9, I always FaceTime with my kids and tuck them in, you know, night, love you, and then do my show. Sometimes it's right at 4 hours. Most of the time it's 4:15. Last Saturday it was 5.5, but those are rare. And then, depending on if my wife has texted me a Walmart honey-do list, I'll either go to Walmart and shop at the one aisle that they're not resurfacing the wax floor.
So we can go to Walmart after the Cactus on Thursday.
Oh, I know every person that works at Walmart at 2:30 in the morning.
It's a job like none other, and Bruce says the most rewarding part is the energy that the generations of Purdue students have brought to his bar.
Every Thursday, I mean every Thursday, whether it's summer, the first Thursday of the semester, Grand Prix, homecoming, every Thursday, the energy that 300 to 1,000 college students brings to my dumb little show is overwhelming. You try and give more to the audience than they give you. You try and overwhelm them with your energy. I have never done it. I am 0 for 3,000 shows on giving them back as much energy as they give me. You can't. And here's the other thing. If you line up 100 piano bar players, 99 of them are gonna kick my butt. And I'm okay with that, because it's never been how good you are, it's how good can you entertain.
And he's certainly entertained with his musical abilities, but it's also his unique personality and big heart that make him Purdue's piano man.
Have I still to this day felt comfortable calling myself piano man? No. Do I embrace Purdue and their love for calling me that? You bet.
Trevor Peters, Fast Track News.
Let's check out the weekend weather conditions from our Fast Track meteorologist, Sheena Steffen.
Thanks, Sarah. Well, as you can tell, this past week has not been a typical week for October, as we started off with warm temperatures earlier this week and then a lot of rainfall later on this week. But lucky for us, this weekend and carry on into next week will be very clear and cool temperatures for the rest of this weekend. As we go ahead and look at our current temperature, we can see it's around 54 degrees right now, with a dew point around 37 degrees and a relative humidity around 50%. Winds are coming from the northwest around 8 to 10 miles an hour. Today we will reach a high around 55 degrees, and then tonight we will hit a low around 38. As we go ahead and look at our surface map, we can see why we are feeling those cooler temperatures this weekend. As we look over here in the east, we see this low pressure system along with the cold front. This cold front and low pressure system were over our area earlier this week, which brought those hot temperatures and the rain just a few days ago. But as we look over here to the west, we can see this high pressure system has come into our area, and because of that, it'll bring us those cooler temperatures and clear skies. As we look at a close-up here, we can see that the high pressure system is over here to our south-southwest, and again, that's the reason why we have those clearer skies. We will have a few clouds in our area, but nothing that'll ruin your weekend for the rest of the week. As we go ahead and look at our 3-day forecast, we can see Saturday we're going to see clear skies with a high around 59 degrees and a low around 45. Sunday along with Saturday, clear skies again, a high around 69 degrees and a low around 47. And then Monday we see temperatures around 63 with a low around 42. So this clear skies will be a trend for this weekend and carry on into next week. That's all I have for you right now for your weekend forecast. Join me back again when I talk about your extended forecast.
Thanks, Sheena. Domestic violence hotlines receive over 21,000 calls per day and account for 15% of all crimes.
And with October being Domestic Violence Awareness Month, 2 houses on campus teamed up to help create awareness. Fast Track reporter Molly Shaughnessy has the story.
On Tuesday, October 18th and Wednesday, October 19th, Alpha Chi Omega and Alpha Kappa Lambda were located at Purdue Engineering Mall and Memorial Mall to help raise awareness against domestic violence. For $1, you were able to either get a donut or a button. Other activities included making your mark on a sheet sign that symbolized the pledge to not harm the people you love.
I'm out here with Alpha Chi Omega and Alpha Kappa Lambda, and we are having people take a pledge against domestic violence. And so we're just having to take the pledge up here, and then we are also selling donuts and buttons to help raise money for the local YWCA here in Lafayette.
We all take a strong pledge against domestic violence. And
the proceeds of this event will go to the local YWCA. If you are looking for more events benefiting the YWCA, Alpha Chi Omega has plans to host some in the spring.
We usually try to raise I think around $1,000 for this event, and then we also do a bigger event in the spring that helps raise a lot more. We're looking to do a walk a mile in her shoes this spring, which could potentially raise up to $10,000, which would be really great because all that money would go to the local YWCA, which would be huge for them.
Molly Shaughnessy, Fast Track News.
The night before homecoming, Purdue hosts its annual homecoming parade along State Street. The parade features all the homecoming contestants and floats made by students and organizations of Purdue.
Each year, the Purdue Student Union Board creates a special theme for their float presentation. This year's theme was a superhero theme for the clubs, and they created their floats in their own way. With more on the story, here's Fast Track's Matthew Seedorf.
The 16th annual Boiler Night Train Homecoming Parade was hosted Friday night before homecoming and featured the contestants for the Homecoming King and Queen, local businesses, and student organizations that entered themselves in the float competition. This year's float competition was themed, "It's a bird, it's a train, it's homecoming."
We actually have an award for the best float, so all the floats you see tonight will be judged. We have 4 anonymous judges, Purdue staff and faculty, actually, who looked at all the floats tonight and they judged it based on, character, if it followed our superhero theme, and how nicely it was done at different criteria.
The Shreve Club has won the Homecoming Parade competition for the last 5 years, and they are making sure that they're not going to relinquish their crown anytime soon.
So we kind of got together one night at an executive board meeting, and we really wanted there to be the beaver costume, someone in a beaver costume, causing a ruckus, trying to fix things all over campus. And we decided that something iconic about Purdue was the bell tower.
Other organizations and clubs in the competition also found it as a way to bond and have a little fun.
Well, basically, we wanted to sort of include the whole college in the float building process. So in making it, we let all of our floors know, getting people to join it. And in our town hall, we voted on different ideas, and this was the idea that won by popular vote.
And there's just been a really long history of, especially in superheroes, they can get pretty gay sometimes. And so we wanted everybody to kind of come out and show themselves and have a really good time, meet each other. And so you see everybody's kind of dressed up in all different rainbow stuff, different superheroes, and just kind of like getting to know each other, being really social, meeting new people.
If you'd like to register for next year's Homecoming Parade, you can contact the Purdue Union Student Board by email at psubhomecoming@purdue.edu. Matthew Seedorf, Fast Track News.
When we come back, we meet some sorority moms and take a look into the life of heading a house.
And later, our own Griffin Schiller has his take on a recent movie in this week's Film Friday. Stay with us. Welcome back. Some people may find it strange that a woman is hired to live with 100 college girls, but to sororities, it's pretty normal.
Our own Sarah Cohen takes us inside a few sororities to meet their special ladies.
Sorority house directors, also known as house moms, play a key role in how the sorority works. Whether they are sorority women themselves or have never been affiliated with a Greek house, a house mom lives with and takes care of over 100 women and keeps the house running.
I do anything and everything it takes to run a 30,000 square foot facility that houses 80 women. I sort of fell into this back in my early 40s. I had gone back to graduate school. I get to be a stay-at-home mom with 80 daughters. So it's a lot of fun.
I don't think anybody really understands what we do until you're in it, right? And so what I tell people, especially men who ask me, I go, what do you do? And I'll say, well, I like to consider myself a property manager of a small boutique hotel for young ladies at Purdue University.
Although house moms can be replaced every few years, they become very close to the women they're watching over.
Even though I sort of think of everybody in the house like a daughter, I'm not really their mom. And I think of myself more as a coach.
So I'm a house director to the outside world, but I'm a house mom to the girls inside. This job can either make you feel very old or it can keep you really young. And I like to think that it keeps me young because I love being around young people. I love thinking that I can make a difference for them. And it's just, I love the environment of youth. And I love being at Purdue campus, and it's been great. It's been a good experience.
Sarah Cohen, Fast Track News.
Let's check back in with Sheena for a more extended weather forecast of the West Lafayette area.
Thanks, Tommy. Well, as I was talking about earlier, we are feeling those cooler temperatures in our area this weekend and into next week. As we go ahead and look at the temperature cast, we can see where that cold air is coming from and how much of our region is affected by it. Around 8 p.m. tonight, we will see that we will have mild temperatures for the majority of our region, and then carrying on until later on Friday night around 11 p.m., that colder air will start entering into our region, and that's when we will start seeing our low hit around 38 degrees. And then earlier Saturday morning around 8 a.m., we will start seeing that the majority of our region will be in cooler temperatures. This colder air is coming up from the north, and because of that high pressure system that I mentioned earlier out to our southwest, it will be dragging down that northerly air into our area, which will bring cooler temperatures for us. For those of you that love running, Saturday will be the 5th annual Purdue Boilermaker half marathon and 5K. We will see a high around 59 that day, but earlier in the morning temperatures will be cool. We will have cooler temperatures with clear skies as well. As we go ahead and look at our hourly forecast, we can see that around 8 a.m. in the morning we will see a temperature around 39 degrees. So runners out there, make sure you're aware it's going to be very cold earlier in the morning. And then as the day progresses, we will see that temperatures start warming up. Around 10 a.m. we will see temperatures around 46 degrees. Around noon, a temperature around 53. Around 2 p.m., 56 degrees, and then hitting our high around 59 by 4 p.m. That's all I have for you for your extended forecast. Join me later when I talk about your 7-day.
Thanks, Sheena. Staying healthy is a vital part of succeeding anywhere in life, and with the flu season coming, that can be tough during this time of year, especially for college students.
It's not just the germs and viruses that students need to be aware of. Mental health issues like stress, anxiety, and depression can affect a person's overall wellness, and Purdue wants its students to know what services are available to help them stay healthy, physically and mentally.
Fall semester starting to pick up, students are being swarmed with papers, projects, and exams. With all the attention and focus that they put into their schoolwork, it's easy for them to forget to take care of themselves. Student wellness is a major concern for big universities, and Purdue is no different, offering many helpful resources and efforts to try and keep its students healthy. The Purdue University Student Health Center is located on the northern side of campus, near the corner of University and Stadium.
We want to be the student's first choice for healthcare when they're sick. And that's our goal, and our docs, our nurse practitioners, they all know how to work with students. They've done this for a while. We do allergies, we do immunizations, flu vaccines. We have physicians, we have nurse practitioners. Our physicians, their specialty is college health, so they know a lot about students, and they know that sometimes students don't know a lot about how they work. So our docs are really good at helping with that. We have our own laboratory department, our own radiology department. We have physical therapy located over at the COREC. And we have our extended care area where students who may need stitches or may need respiratory treatments or IV fluids, they can come in and be taken care of in extended care.
PUSH asks that students try to make appointments before coming in, but understand if something comes up suddenly.
We started this year, we have new triage nurses. So sometimes when a student is sick, they may, and we don't have an appointment, they may be able to see one, they will be able to see one of our triage nurses, and the triage nurse can give them the same advice for how to get through the night, and maybe have them come in the morning if that works for them, or have them be seen that day depending on how sick they are.
As of October 12th, flu vaccines became available, but PUSH wants to make sure that students know how to take care of themselves.
The most important things for new students, I think, is to come in with just a little first aid kit. So if you have a temperature or you've got something going on, take Tylenol. Don't take ibuprofen. There's a reason for that. We want to keep you safe, and Tylenol is a better choice. If you think you have a fever, it might be a good idea to have a thermometer. Ask your mom how to read one before she drops you off. Make sure you have Band-Aids and Neosporin, just like when you were a kid and scraped your knee. It works, and it's a good idea to have.
Physical health is just part of the equation. as mental health plays just as big of a role in a student's overall wellness.
Mental health is really significant. I think when we think about our overall well-being, we often neglect the self-care piece in terms of mental health. So doing the things that help us continue to function really well, like making sure we get enough sleep, making sure we're eating well, making sure we're getting some rest and relaxation in addition to working. I think it's very easy for us to ask a lot of ourselves and push to a point where we're not rejuvenated enough to really keep on going. So to me, that's about mental health and well-being. So mental health is a lot more than I'm not struggling with feeling depression or feeling anxiety. Mental health is really more about what are the things that keep me going in an ongoing way so that I can keep pushing myself.
Purdue's counseling and psychological services on the second floor of PUSH offers help for students struggling with any mental health issues.
I think it's really important to connect with somebody who can help you figure out what might be happening and where you might best turn for resources, for support. So we provide services in a lot of different ways. Sometimes talking with a therapist or somebody who's trained to help you understand what you're feeling and how you're feeling, but also then what to do about it can be really helpful. We provide that one-on-one. We provide that in a group setting. Often what can really help is to also recognize that other people may be struggling as well, that you're not the only one, that there's not anything the matter with you because you're struggling, and figure out how to help each other and support each other. So when you mention confidentiality, that really is what rules us in many ways. So a student could get online, go to our website, so purdue.edu/CAPS, and schedule an initial appointment with one of our clinicians. That initial appointment's about half an hour long. We ask that a student come in advance to fill out some forms for us, and the clinician will then meet with them to figure out what brings you here.
Robert Dupler, Fast Track News.
It's becoming a national sensation, college basketball managers squaring off against the other team's manager in a friendly basketball game. But it is more than just a pickup game. There are team standings, a national tournament, and they are all playing for one thing, bragging rights.
With practice starting this week, the Boilermaker managers are gearing up for the start of the season. But some of them will tell you that the night before the game is when it really counts.
Tommy Barrett for ESPNU Campus Connection, and I'm here live on Cardinal Court, ready for the Boilermakers to play, but not quite the Boilermakers that you're expecting.
This game is between the student managers of Iowa and Purdue. It started 4 years ago when managers traveled to other schools to challenge each other the night before the game. Head manager Brock Davis is the one who's in charge for the Boilermakers.
We started just collecting numbers on road trips and stuff like that, and we got a big group meeting together. So then when the fall came around, we started texting each other and kind of trying to set up games like this the day before the actual game.
Davis, the head manager for the Boilermakers, tells me who he thinks the best player is, also who he thinks the best team is.
Best team is Purdue. I'm going to say, obviously, I'm a little biased, but the best player, there's a good few managers around the league that can play. Some bring GAs and stuff that have college basketball experience, and obviously that helps a lot. We played Juan Dixon from Maryland, and obviously being Maryland's all-time leading scorer, that helps a little bit. So he was pretty good. He was fun to play against. We played against Valentine from Michigan State, who played at Western Michigan last year, and he was really good, obviously. So it's cool when you get to play against guys like that who have some big-time experience, just to be able to say you played against them.
The Boilermakers are currently 3-2 in league play. The Buckeyes from Ohio State sit in first place and are currently undefeated. With 5 potential remaining games for Purdue, the Boilermakers still have time to make a climb up to first place. This is Tommy Barrett for ESPNU Campus Connection.
Tom Cruise is back in action this weekend with a follow-up to the 2012 hit Jack Reacher. Here to bring you his thoughts on Jack Reacher Never Go Back, here's Griffin Schiller with this week's Film Friday.
Hey everyone, Griffin Schiller bringing you all another Film Friday. So this week marks the release of Tom Cruise back in the cinemas with Jack Reacher Never Go Back. And boy, am I never gonna go back and see this movie ever again. So the movie is directed by Edward Zwick,
And for those of you who don't know, this wonderful man gave us Glory and The Last Samurai. I have no idea how this movie came to be just based off of that. Anyways, it's also starring Tom Cruise, the man himself, the action star, Kobe Smulders from the Avengers movies and from a few other things. And then they've got a few other people in the mix, but those are really the two big standouts that you're going to know. So, what is Jack Reacher Never Go Back about? Jack Reacher is about Jack Reacher, who basically works with Kobe Smulders' character. They do a few contracts, I guess, together and stuff like that. And so he goes to visit her, actually take her out. By the way, they have never met. They've only communicated through the phone, but regardless. So he goes to take her out to dinner and then finds out that she is no longer employed because she's been sent to prison for treason, and he doesn't believe that she could be capable of such awful things. And so he pledges to help her, and thus he gets kind of wrapped up in this conspiracy thing going on with illegal arms dealers and whatnot. And that's honestly what this movie kind of is about. I'm just going to go right into it, guys. Jack Reacher Never Go Back. It's not that good. It's enjoyable, but not in a good way. It's enjoyably bad. There are just so many things working against this film. The only positives I can talk about with this movie are Tom Cruise is serviceable, and it's a dumb action movie, kind of, for some of the time, but there's not a lot of action, and the comedy that is in the movie is not, like, trying to be comedy. It's just because the dialogue and the script are that bad. So I'm going to move into the negatives now. The big issue with this film is the script. Really, it's just a generic plot. We've seen it all before. It's trying to be like an 80s Arnold Schwarzenegger action film.
You're a funny guy, Sully. I like you. That's why I'm going to kill you last.
I don't mean that in a good way. It was just really not good. So the next thing that I have wrong with this movie is the fact that it feels like a 10-year-old really wanted to make an action film and was finally given the opportunity to do so, and then just went all out, just threw things together, you know, dialogue. Yeah, let's just scribble down some dialogue, and we get Jack Reacher Never Go Back. Because that's really what I was thinking the entire time watching this movie. Now, the next thing that I struggled with is the dialogue, because it's atrocious. I mean, there's a line in this movie which has some explicit content, so I'll just kind of paraphrase. It basically says, I'm going to grab you by the hair plugs and bleep slap the bleep out of you. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that line was actually used in the movie by Miss Kobe Smulders as she takes down the main antagonist, or one of the antagonists in the film. Yeah, not even kidding. So that's just a little taste of how bad the dialogue is. Now, aside from the dialogue, let's move on to the characters. Acting was very blah. You know, I love Kobe Smulders, but man, does she not give a good performance in this film. But once again, I can't entirely fault her. A lot of it probably has to do with the script and the really bad dialogue. So, and then once again, Tom Cruise gives a serviceable performance, but nothing to really go brag about. And then the rest of the people in this movie just are not good at all. Yeah. Now, my next issue with the movie is the fact that it has a sense of identity crisis. And what I mean by that is the fact that it's advertised as this serious action film. Trailers were actually pretty good. They got me into the theater. But aside from that, it kind of starts off like that, and then it turns into a weird family road trip type movie. Yeah, I'm not kidding. It actually turns into that. I don't know how it got there, but it did. And it's like that for about, you know, two quarters of the movie, and then it goes back into the action film, and it's just a weird mix of tones, and it didn't work. Not at all. So to wrap this whole shebang up in a nice, clean sentence, don't go see Jack Reacher unless you want some laughs at how kind of hilariously bad it is. So on a scale from 1 to 5, I'm ultimately going to be giving Jack Reacher a 2 out of 5. I know, Griffin, that's entirely high for a movie that you just completely destroyed and ripped apart. Well, like I said, I had an entertaining experience watching this movie because of how bad it is. It's entertaining, don't get me wrong. But like I said in the beginning, I'm never going to go back and see this movie. So that's going to do it for this installment of Film Friday. Griffin Schiller, Fast Track News.
Before we go, let's check in one more time with Sheena for a 7-day forecast.
Thanks, Sarah. Before we go ahead and talk about our 7-day forecast, we're going to look at our current temperatures. Right now in our general area, we're seeing temperatures in the mid-50s. So up north, we're seeing in Warsaw a high around 53 degrees, Fort Wayne 54, over here in Rensselaer also 54. Over west in Champaign, we're seeing a high around 56 degrees, and then in our area around 54. As we go ahead and look at tonight with the lows, the general area will be seeing lows in the upper 30s. Down in Indianapolis, we'll see a low around 39 degrees, as well as in Kokomo. Up north, a low around 38 in Warsaw and around 37 in Fort Wayne. As we go ahead and look at the 7-day forecast, we can see that those low temperatures are going to be a trend throughout this weekend and into next week. As we go ahead and look at Saturday, we can see that Saturday we will have a small chance of rain, leftovers from Thursday and Friday. Clear skies for the most part, a high around 59 degrees and a low around 57. And then Sunday we'll start the 60s. We'll see a high around 69 with clear skies and a low around 47. And then carrying on into the rest of the week, we'll start seeing temperatures in the lower 60s to mid-60s. Tuesday we will start seeing a chance of rain. We have a 20% chance of rain on Tuesday, and then carrying on into Wednesday, a 40% chance of rain. That rain is expected to come later on Wednesday night and then carry on into Thursday. But again, the majority of the week will be in the 60s and then ending around a temperature around 67 degrees. That's all I have for you for your 7-day forecast. Thanks for joining me. I'm meteorologist Sheena Steffen.
That's it for this week's edition of Fast Track. I'm Sarah Cohen.
And I'm Tommy Bear. For these stories and more, make sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and our YouTube page. Thanks again for tuning in. Have a great week. See you next time.